When Bungie released the first Halo back in 2001, nobody imagined that game would redefine what an FPS was. Now, with Halo Campaign Evolved Remake, the franchise returns to its roots, but with changes that go far beyond just visuals. So today, I'm going to tell you 10 things nobody told you about this remake, including some that will blow many fans' minds. When I read that Halo Campaign Evolved Remake will be released on PlayStation 5, I confess I had to reread the news. As much as the current market is increasingly open to cross-platforms and unexpected partnerships, seeing the name Halo and PlayStation 5 in the same sentence still sounds surreal. It's as if a piece of Xbox history decided to cross a dimensional portal. It's one of those things that, if someone had said it in the 2000s, we would have called them crazy. This remake seems to be more than just a simple visual facelift. It represents a change in philosophy within Microsoft. The company spent years building the Xbox's identity around Halo. It was the flagship game, the reason to own the console. Now seeing the same title being announced for a historical rival is almost like seeing Master Chief remove his helmet to say, "It's okay, the war is over." And you know what? I think this is good. Technically, we can expect the game to be polished on the PS5. The console has an excellent track record with remakes. Just remember titles like Demon's Souls or Final Fantasy VII Remake. The curiosity is knowing if the Halo version will take full advantage of the DualSense, with adaptive triggers for the weapons and haptic feedback during combat. Imagine feeling the weight of the Covenant rifle's shot in your hands with the controller's dynamic vibration. That would be a way to reinvent Halo's classic immersion. But what excites me most is thinking about the new generation of players who will experience Halo for the first time outside the Xbox ecosystem. A lot of people who grew up with PlayStation simply never touched the original Halo. This remake could be an incredible gateway, showing why this franchise shaped the entire console shooter genre. Halo isn't just shooting and aliens. It's atmosphere, soundtrack, pacing, and that feeling of being on the front lines of something epic. Of course, there will still be those who criticize, and honestly, it's understandable. For more traditional Xbox fans, it might sound like a loss of identity, a dilution of the brand. Halo has always been a symbol of exclusivity, but looking at it coldly, this change is more strategic than emotional. The market wants an audience, and Halo needs to be relevant again. Being on the PS5 is a bold move, but perhaps it's the only way to reignite interest in the green-armored hero who stopped time in the 2000s. In the end, I see Halo Campaign Evolved Remake coming to the PS5 as a historic moment. A symbol that the boundaries between consoles are no longer walls, but bridges. Maybe this is the true evolved in the title, the evolution not just of the game, but of the market vision itself. Seeing Master Chief enter Sony's territory is more than a curiosity. It's a sign of new times. And who would have thought times when the Halo universe can finally be appreciated by all players, without labels or flags. When I thought about the details of these 3 new prequel missions, I was impressed by how they could enrich the lore without messing up what we already love. Fighting alongside Sergeant Avery Johnson would be the highlight, showing him in crucial moments before the Pillar of Autumn took off, with new characters bringing a fresh human element, enemies expanding the Covenant's terror, and environments capturing the initial desperation of the war. For me, it's as if the game is saying that the Halo saga always had deeper roots, and these technical and narrative details would make the remake feel alive and necessary. Starting with the first mission, Shadows of Cygnus. The details reveal a setting on a modular space station, with artificial gravity failing in sections, creating chaotic zero-G that affects player movement. Johnson commands a platoon of 8 Marines, including a new character, Corporal Lena Reyes, a skeptical sniper who questions orders and adds internal tension to the group. The new enemies are Shadows, organic Covenant drones that camouflage themselves in panels and vents, forcing detection mechanics with flashlights and improvised sensors. I love how this would introduce survival horror in the first few minutes, with Johnson using his cigar as a distraction to lure enemies, making each encounter personal and unpredictable. In the second mission, Echoes of Meridian, the details paint a picture of a collapsing urban colony, with elevated districts connected by bridges that collapse during orbital glassing. Imagine plasma falling like lethal rain. Here, new characters like Dr. Elias Thorne, a civilian scientist fleeing with stolen data, create dynamic escorts where the player must protect non-combat targets. Enemies include rampagers, elite variants with adaptive shields that regenerate in smoke, demanding team flanking tactics with Johnson. For me, these elements elevate the drama, showing Johnson not only as a leader, but as a mentor to Thorne. in dialogues that reveal his traumatic past in previous battles. The third mission, Guardians of the Protocol, deepens the details in an underground Oni base with multiple security levels, including containment doors that lock randomly during the attack. New characters emerge like Lieutenant Kira Voss, a communications officer who hacks enemy systems in real time, allowing the player to activate environmental traps like force fields. The final enemies are infiltrators, Covenant stealth units with collective AI that predict movements, requiring precise coordination with Johnson via voice commands. I feel these details would culminate in a tense extraction sequence where system failures force moral decisions like sacrificing an ally to save the AI Cortana. These narrative details don't stop at the mechanics. They weave an emotional tapestry that connects everything to the original. For example, collectibles like Johnson's audio logs reveal his friendship with Captain Keyes years earlier, adding layers of loyalty I always wanted to explore. The environments transition from isolated and oppressive to chaotic and vast, with artificial day-night cycles affecting visibility and troop morale. It's personal for me because it transforms Johnson from comic relief into a tragic pillar, whose details, like visible scars from past battles, humanize the icon. Overall, these mission details make the remake shine by balancing innovation with respect for its roots. I imagine playing and pausing just to absorb how new enemies like the Shadows evolve into bigger threats in the lore, or how characters like Reyes could have spin-offs. It's the kind of depth that would make me recommend the game, not just for nostalgia, but for how it expands the Halo universe organically and captivatingly, leaving a lasting mark on my memory as a fan. The addition of 9 new weapons is the kind of change that moves me as an old fan of the franchise. Seeing weapons like the Energy Sword, Battle Rifle, and Needle Rifle finally integrated into the classic campaign makes me feel as if the Halo universe has become complete. It's almost like revisiting an old friend who now has new tricks and stories to tell. I've always loved the balance between human and alien technology, and bringing these modern weapons to the remake is a brilliant way to unite the series' past and present. The first one that catches my eye is, without a doubt, the Energy Sword. This weapon has always been an icon, elegant, lethal, and symbolic of the elite's honor. Imagine the feeling of using it against the Covenant inside the metallic corridors of the Pillar of Autumn or in the Forerunner installations, cutting down enemies in intense close-quarters combat. I especially like the idea that it now appears in secret locations or as drops from elite enemies, maintaining that sense of achievement when we finally wield it. For me, it's one of the most satisfying additions because it transforms close combat into purely cinematic moments. The Battle Rifle, on the other hand, completely changes the rhythm of confrontations. Anyone who came from Halo 2 and sees its return here feels enormous pleasure. That crisp sound of short bursts is still unmistakable. It provides a perfect balance between the assault rifle's precision and the sniper rifle's range, which makes me rethink tactical approaches. It's the typical weapon that gives you freedom. You can keep your distance, protect allies, or advance aggressively. I love how the remake cares about integrating it organically, appearing in advanced UNSC armories or in missions where line-of-sight control is essential. The Needle Rifle, on the other hand, is one of my favorites because it brings back that strange and beautiful charm of Covenant weapons. I always had fun with the mechanic of the guided, explosive, and colorful needles. It's almost hypnotic. In the remake, it fits as a bridge between the traditional Needler and the alien precision weapon, being perfect for eliminating enemies hidden behind cover. It's one of those additions that makes me smile in the middle of combat, especially when I see the crystal explosions filling the screen. Furthermore, it reinforces the contrast between the cold design of human weapons and the exotic and unpredictable style of the Covenant. The most interesting part is how these weapons don't break the original game. They expand it. Each one is positioned logically in the remake. Nothing seems out of place. Human bases now have a wider variety of UNSC weapons, while alien battlefields are filled with Covenant technology, giving more authenticity to the confrontations. Personally, I think this revitalizes the gameplay in an incredible way, as the new tools inspire experimentation. I find myself replaying levels just to test different combinations. These 9 new weapons aren't just fan service. They are a bridge between classic Halo and the franchise's modern identity. They make the remake feel more complete, more alive, and with mechanics that give purpose to the new missions. I love how, even after so many years, Halo still manages to reinvent its own past without losing the spirit that made it legendary. It's the perfect combination of nostalgia and innovation, and for me, that's what makes this remake so special. This new feature of finally being able to steal enemy vehicles is the kind of innovation that completely changes how the campaign is experienced. Since the first Halo, I've always had that frustrating curiosity of wanting to jump on top of a Wraith tank and just take it for myself. And now that's possible. It's one of those additions that, even though it seems simple, brings a liberating feeling. It transforms moments that were once about survival into strategic opportunities, and it makes me look at combat in a whole new way. The highlight, of course, is the Covenant Wraith tank. Piloting that purple monstrosity, which used to be the terror of players, is an indescribable feeling. The plasma cannon is now under my control, and watching enemies panic as they fire desperately is almost poetic. Furthermore, the remake brings more refined physics, and this makes driving the Wraith a task that requires care. The terrain affects stability, the shots leave impressive energy trails, and the visual destruction is jaw-dropping. It's something that brings power, but also responsibility. Controlling a Wraith isn't just pulling the trigger, it's mastering a machine that was once the symbol of the alien threat. But what I like most is how this mechanic changes the pace of battles. Now, when I spot a Covenant platoon with vehicles, I don't just see a challenge, but an opportunity. I can choose to eliminate the pilots with precision and turn the game in my favor, transforming the battlefield into pure chaos commanded by me. It's an incredible feeling of adaptation and improvisation, two things that have made Halo shine from the beginning. Moreover, this adds a tactical depth that perfectly matches the series' DNA, raising the replay factor of the missions. Another detail that got me was the balance the developers managed to create. Stealing vehicles isn't a cheat mode. There are real risks. The process of hijacking a Wraith, for example, requires approaching stealthily or distracting the enemy. One mistake and you're vaporized by a plasma blast. This vulnerability reminds me why Halo has always been about strategy, and not just fast reflexes. Every achievement on the battlefield feels hard-earned, deserved, and that makes each victory even more rewarding. I also loved seeing how the other vehicles fit into this new system. You can hijack Ghost's automatic turrets, and even the infamous Banshee if the player is skilled enough to approach it at the right time. The variety completely changes the flow of the campaign, making open-field combat more dynamic and cinematic. I find myself planning different approaches just to test what to steal. An enemy turret, a fighter, a tank, and that's one of the most fun sensations a Halo can offer. This addition of being able to take control of enemy vehicles is the kind of thing that makes a remake worthwhile. It's an adjustment that respects the game's essence, but gives the player unprecedented freedom. For me, it was as if the classic Halo had finally unlocked what it always promised back in 2001, to be a complete sci-fi military sandbox, where every enemy tool can also be yours. And that, honestly, is the kind of evolution that makes me return to the battle with a smile on my face. When I learned that the Halo Campaign Evolved remake finally added an extra seat to the Warthog, turning the classic vehicle into a perfect machine for 4 players, I had that immediate feeling of, this is how it always should have been. The Warthog has always been the heart of Halo's sandbox, freedom, chaos, and unpredictable moments. Now, with space for a full squad, the vehicle gains new life, especially in co-op mode. It's as if the experience was updated for the modern era without losing its original spirit. Driving the Warthog was always fun, but now, being with 3 friends on board completely changes the dynamic. One driving, one on the machine gun, one in the passenger seat shooting with a rifle, and the 4th occupying the new rear seat with the freedom to use any portable weapon. It's pure coordinated chaos. Shots crossing the field, explosions on the horizon, and that feeling of camaraderie that only Halo can deliver. I love imagining the moments of laughter and mess, especially when someone misses a turn and the vehicle ends up flipping in the middle of combat, as always happens. The new rear seat also brings a tactical layer that the original never had. Now you can set up more complex strategies. A sniper can keep watch. A player can throw support grenades or use heavy weapons like the Spartan laser without having to abandon the vehicle. This completely changes the way open missions are approached. Instead of attacking with multiple Warthogs, you can operate together. A mobile, complete, and coordinated squad. I'd say it's the perfect fusion of chaotic fun and squad tactics, which fits perfectly with the series' cooperative spirit. The remake also improved the vehicle's design, and the new seat doesn't look like a mere extra added for fan service. It was integrated naturally into the chassis, maintaining the robust, military look. I noticed the physics system was adjusted to handle the additional weight, so the vehicle sways and reacts more realistically on turns and uneven terrain. This satisfies me because it shows the change goes beyond aesthetics. There was care in preserving the balance between control and chaos that has always defined the Warthog. In online co-op mode, this addition is simply brilliant. Playing with 3 friends in the same vehicle creates unpredictable moments in a way few games can replicate. I can see each player taking on a natural role: the responsible pilot, the show-off gunner, the strategist, and the crazy one in the back firing non-stop. It's a social experience as much as it is a tactical one. These small details end up making the remake more alive and memorable, especially in large missions where coordination and creativity make all the difference. The new Warthog with an extra seat is more than a gameplay improvement. It's a celebration of Halo's cooperative spirit. This simple change combines accessibility, fun, and strategy efficiently, elevating the game to another level. For me, it's the kind of update that symbolizes the power of a well-made remake, keeping the original's heart, but reimagining enough to make even veterans smile as if they were playing for the first time. I've always thought skulls were one of Halo's most underrated mechanics. They completely transform the game, whether to make everything more challenging, more chaotic, or just more fun. Now, with dozens of modifiers that affect weapons, enemy behavior, player attributes, and even the weather, this remake becomes almost an endless sandbox of possibilities. It's the kind of new feature that makes any fan want to replay every mission multiple times. The first detail that caught my attention was the absurd variety. Some classic skulls are back, like Grunt Birthday Party, which fills grunts' heads with confetti when they explode, or Catch, which makes enemies throw grenades like there's no tomorrow, but the remake goes further. New skulls even allow changing the AI behavior of allies, creating random patrol variations, and even swapping the player's starting arsenal at each checkpoint. I love this because it turns every game session into a unique experience. You never know what to expect. It's as if the remake has fully embraced the controlled chaos that defines Halo's charm. What I found brilliant is how the game maintains balance even with so much possible madness. You can activate modifiers that remove the HUD, make the shield more fragile, or make enemy weapons twice as potent, but nothing feels unfair. It's the kind of challenge that provokes you, forces you to improve reflexes and think creatively. A skull that impressed me in testing was Tempest, which randomizes environmental effects: electrical storms, plasma storms, and even dense fog that affects visibility and enemy behavior. This combination of immersion and unpredictability left me completely addicted to restarting missions with new settings. The skull system also has a more accessible touch in the remake, which I thought was a very smart decision. Now you can save custom presets and apply them to the missions you want, avoiding having to activate and deactivate everything manually. This makes it easier to create specific experiences, like a realistic mode, without a HUD and with scarce ammo, or a festival mode, with all the crazy effects activated. This freedom to shape the game to your style is what makes me love well-made remakes. It's not just nostalgia, it's evolution. Additionally, there's an incredible cooperative aspect here. Each player can bring their own skull settings to the co-op session, and the game randomly draws a combination of them all. This makes every match a total surprise among friends, a balance between challenge and fun that creates moments of pure genius and guaranteed laughter. Playing Halo like this is the kind of thing that reminds you why the series' local and online co-op has always been so special. These new skulls aren't just an extra feature. They redefine the campaign's replayability and turn the remake into a living platform for creativity. It's as if every mission is a new experiment, a test of endurance, or even an inside joke among veteran players. Personally, I think this is one of the remake's biggest additions, because it captures the unpredictable and fun spirit that has always kept Halo relevant for so long. If before, every game in the series was about mastering the battlefield, now it's about mastering it your way. It's the first time the series completely breaks its boundaries and connects players from such different platforms. As a longtime fan, this news hit me hard. Seeing Halo stop being exclusive, and on top of that, embracing co-op mode between systems, is almost a cultural milestone. It's as if the Halo universe is saying, the war against the Covenant belongs to everyone now. The point that excites me most is the shared progression. This means I can play the campaign with friends on different platforms and continue exactly where we left off, without losing XP, unlocks, or found skulls. It's a natural and very welcome evolution for this type of game, especially considering the cooperative focus that has always existed in Halo. I can be on Xbox, my friend on PC, and another on PS5, and we all progress together, like a true Spartan squad without restrictions. It's the kind of feature many people dreamed of since the Halo 3 days. But what really surprised me was the return and improvement of split-screen co-op on consoles. Two players playing side by side on the same screen is something many modern studios have left behind. And seeing Halo bring this back is a powerful tribute to the golden age of gaming. It's nostalgic and modern at the same time. I can already imagine revisiting classic levels with a friend by my side, while the sound of grenades and grunt screams echo together in the room. It's a type of connection that online multiplayer, as good as it is, will never replace. The technical aspect of this feature is also noteworthy. Cross-platform co-op with split-screen required a complete rebuild of network synchronization, physics, and AI. And the result, according to the developers, is a fluid experience with practically no noticeable lag. This shows the care taken to ensure that this union between platforms wasn't just marketing, but a real and functional feature. The idea that I can switch between playing online with remote friends and then continue offline on a couch is something few games can offer today. What moves me most, however, is the symbolism of this opening. Halo has always been about unity, about different soldiers fighting side by side against a common threat. And now this message is reflected in the very act of playing. People from platforms that were previously separated by market barriers can now share the same campaign, the same journey, the same victory. It's poetic in a way. Halo's cooperative spirit has finally reached the real world. This support for cross-platform co-op with shared progression and split screen is more than just a technical update. It's a milestone for the future of the series. It's the natural evolution of a franchise that has always put teamwork at the center of the experience. For me, seeing Halo reach this level of integration is like watching a legend reinvent itself without losing its soul. And honestly, knowing I can face the Covenant with friends, regardless of the platform, makes this remake feel like the most complete and welcoming Halo of all time. The absence of PvP multiplayer mode is a bold choice, but one that shows a clear focus on turning the solo and co-op experience into something unforgettable, instead of dividing energy trying to compete with the legacy of the series' great multiplayer titles. From a personal point of view, I think it's a courageous decision. Halo's PvP already has well-established ground in the Master Chief Collection and Halo Infinite, so insisting on it here might have taken the shine off what really matters in this remake. By concentrating all resources on single-player and co-op, the studio has room to elevate the narrative, refine combat, and explore new mechanics, like the prequel missions, vehicle theft, and skull variations. I see this as a chance for the game to become timeless, highlighting what the original Halo did best: immersion in a grand and mysterious universe. Of course, the absence of PvP brings a feeling of emptiness for those who grew up dueling on iconic maps like Blood Gulch or Hang 'em High. These memories are part of Halo's identity, and the idea of reliving the campaign without being able to dispute a good match with friends afterward might seem strange at first. But at the same time, this absence reinforces the value of the narrative focus. For the first time, we can have a Halo totally geared towards the cinematic experience, with emotional weight and a more consistent pace. It's almost like playing the first sci-fi movie in interactive format. Another interesting point is how the remake transforms the absence of PvP into an opportunity for deeper cooperative experiences. The co-op modes with shared progression and cross-platform support end up replacing the social role that competitive multiplayer used to have. Now the fun comes from working as a team, exploring maps together, and overcoming challenges with synchronized strategies. Instead of competing against each other, Halo now wants us to fight side by side, something that fits perfectly with the heroic and fraternal tone of the campaign. Technically, it also makes sense. PvP would require balancing dozens of new weapons, vehicles, and skulls, an effort that could compromise the integrity of the campaign. By skipping this part, the developers could channel energy into polishing mission design, improving Covenant AI, and expanding cooperative content without worrying about balancing metas. Personally, I prefer a Halo in its best narrative form than a rushed or merely functional multiplayer. The absence of PvP isn't a loss, it's a redefinition of purpose. Halo Campaign Evolved Remake wants to be remembered as the definitive version of the original story, not as a competition for the best TTK. And honestly, I respect that. Sometimes taking a step back from competitive play is what allows for a leap forward in the experience. If I have to choose between reliving Master Chief's journey with maximum emotion or just chasing kills online, I'll take the story. After all, it was for the story that I fell in love with Halo in the first place. Unreal Engine 5 isn't just a graphics engine, It's practically a generational leap in how worlds are built, and imagining the Halo universe with this level of detail is something that gives me chills. Seeing those classic landscapes, the Forerunner temples, and the vast fields of Halo reimagined with dynamic lighting and real textures makes me feel as if the game was always destined to exist this way. The first impact when seeing the images or trailers is the visual depth. The details of Unreal Engine 5 transform what were once flat, simple surfaces into living scenarios. Grass reacting to the wind, realistic reflections on Master Chief's armor, and particles floating after explosions. The engine's global illumination system creates an almost cinematic ambiance, especially in scenes inside the metallic and mysterious corridors of the alien structures. I can imagine the first mission, the Pillar of Autumn, all lit by dynamic panels and volumetric shadows, something that would leave any fan with a smile of admiration. The fidelity of the character and vehicle models is also impressive. The updated design of the elites, grunts, and hunters seems to gain a layer of complexity that the technology of the time never allowed. The textures reflect wear, scratches, and even plasma splatters after combat. And the Warthog? Created with materials that react realistically to light, the vehicle gains that metallic sheen typical of modern games without losing its classic charm. It's the kind of detail that turns every combat into a visual spectacle and makes nostalgia shine anew. Another brilliant point in adopting Unreal 5 is in the sound and physics immersion. With Lumen handling the lighting and Nanite optimizing details without compromising performance, the developers managed to create more reactive and natural environments. Each explosion reverberates differently depending on the location. Inside a base, the sound echoes. In an open field, it disperses with the wind. This, combined with the partial destruction of scenarios, gives the gameplay a tangible weight. I've always liked the physical feel of combat in Halo, but here it seems elevated to a new level. On the technical side, it's impressive to think about what built from scratch means. They didn't port the old game. They didn't paste classic assets. They redid everything, scene by scene, mission by mission, within a modern engine. This gives developers the freedom to adjust levels, rethink lighting, include more fluid animations, and even expand certain areas that were previously limited by hardware. As a fan, for me, this is the true meaning of a remake. Respect the classic, but don't be bound by it. Unreal Engine 5 is the perfect tool for this kind of rebirth. I see this engine change as a statement of confidence. Halo Campaign Evolved made in Unreal 5 isn't just a prettier game. It's an ambitious reimagining that wants to show the world what Halo has always represented: innovation, scale, and identity. It's a technological tribute to one of the most beloved universes in gaming, and personally, I can't wait to step onto this new Halo ring and see every ray of sun reflecting off my visor, knowing I'm playing a historic chapter remade with respect and a vision for the future. Knowing that Halo Campaign Evolved will be free on Game Pass was the kind of news that made me smile immediately. It's a decision that shows how much Microsoft, now with 343 and its partners, wants as many players as possible to experience this new version of the classic that started it all. Personally, I think this is more than a business move. It's a symbolic gesture. It's like saying, this remake isn't just for veterans, it's for everyone. And what fairer way to celebrate an icon than by making it accessible from day one? Game Pass has always been a service that made me rediscover titles and genres, but something like Halo carries different weight. Having immediate access, at no extra cost, to a remake of this caliber makes me feel part of an event. It's almost like the launch of an anticipated movie, but in the comfort of my home, available from the first moment. I imagine the impact of this on a global scale. Millions of people downloading the game on the same day, exploring the new prequel missions, testing the 9 new weapons, and sharing impressions without that pay-to-play barrier. Another point that excites me is how much this will revive the Halo community. The fact that the remake has cross-platform co-op means that, with the game on Game Pass, a lot of people who never touched Halo will be able to join veterans at no cost and without complications. It's the kind of accessibility that can redefine what a successful remake is. And the best part, everyone starts together on the same day at the same pace. I imagine the full lobbies, the excited voices in the first few hours, and that feeling of everyone is playing this right now. In practice, it's also a huge technical gain. The integration of Unreal Engine 5 with Game Pass's preload and cloud systems ensures that the initial download is lighter, and the game runs instantly on xCloud. This means that even those without a high-end console will be able to experience the remake at launch, straight from the cloud. For me, this is a spectacular advancement. It democratizes access and shows that Halo continues to be a technological showcase for Microsoft. If the franchise once represented the power of the Xbox, now it represents the power of the entire ecosystem. For those who collect experiences, I think it's beautiful how this also creates a unifying moment. It doesn't matter if someone is on Series X, on PC, on PS5 via crossplay, or even playing on their phone via the cloud. Everyone joins this journey together, with the same starting point. This gives a sense of a global event, something few games achieve today. And the best part is that the remake, with its built-from-scratch recreation and extra content, still has a lot to offer after the initial launch. Halo Campaign Evolved Remake debuting for free on Game Pass is more than a service perk. It's a celebration. It's the past and future of the franchise being delivered to the largest possible audience, without barriers, without elitism, and with the confidence of knowing they have a product worthy of the Halo name. Personally, I'll be there on launch day downloading at midnight and diving headfirst into this new era. Because if there's one thing that defines Halo, it's precisely this. Everyone fighting together, on the same battlefield, from day one.
Have you found the control center?
Negative, Captain. The Covenant have impeded our progress. We can't proceed unless we can disable this installation's security system.
Understood. We're still en route to the objective. I may be out of contact when we get there. Here are your orders. I want you to use any means necessary to force your way into the facility and find Halo's control center. Good luck, people. Keys out.
Let's move down the beach. Keep an eye out for any unusual structures that could house the security system.
Don't forget my rank, boy. Go around.